Alright, so when we want to implement the routing inside our React application, then for that we do use the React Router DOM package. So let's come over here inside the directory and let's just install React Router DOM. React Router DOM. Alright, and after the installation, what we need to do is we need to wrap our whole React application inside the browser router. So what will browser router do? Basically, it will enable the routing inside of your React application. So our package has been installed. Now let's come over here inside the index.js, and what we will do, we will import the browser router and we will wrap our whole application inside the browser router, right? And the next thing we need to do is what we will do, we need to include the routing inside this sections, because we don't want to touch the header and footer to change again and again. We want them to remain intact, right? So first you need to import, let me just come over here, routes, and inside this routes you can define your route, right? So over here inside the component folder, I have created some components like about, contact, home, and invoice. So basically this route element or this route component takes two props. The first one is path, and inside this path you can define your path like hashtag slash about or slash contact, etc., right? And the second one is element, and inside this element you need to pass the component. So for example, if anyone access slash about, then what I want to do, I want to access the about component. So for that you can define the about component over here. So whenever a user will access the index route, then what I want to show the home component. Then for that we will pass our component like this, and let's create, for contact we will do contact, right? And for about we will do something like this, right? So as you can see right over here that I've already imported about, home, and contact component. So whenever you need to assign the components over here, then you need to import them first if they are in different JS file. So if I come over here in the browser, then you can see that it is telling me this is a home page. Why? Because if I come over here inside the home.js, then as you can see that it is showing me this is our home page. So let me come over here and change home component. Then right over here, as you can see that it is showing me home component. So if I come over here and write contact, then you can see that it is rendering the contact component inside the header and footer. And if I come over here and route about, then you can see that it is rendering the about component. So this is how the basic routing work in the React application. For example, if you want to access any kind of route by clicking the link, so right over here as you can see I have done some basic styling and defined some anchor text over here, right, inside the ULLI of header component. And what I need to do, when I will click the about link, then it should show me about component, and whenever I will click the contact link, it should show me a contact component. So for that, this is very easy to implement. We will come over here inside the header.js, and inside this we need to import link from React Router DOM. And inside this React Router DOM, what we need to do, we need to pass an attribute or prop to, right? And inside this to you can define your path like /index. It should, right? And let's just close it. All right, let's copy it and paste it about, and let's assign the about route. Let me just copy it once again, contact, and let's just assign the contact path. So when I will come over here, when I will click the home, then you can see that it is showing me home component. When I will click the contact, then it is showing me the contact component. So this is how you can access the any route using the link element of React Router DOM. So whenever you want to use the link element of React Router DOM, then first you need to import it from React Router DOM. Alright, so there is something called dynamic routing in React. So for example, if we do have a power route like invoice/1, and we are rendering the invoice component against this route, right? And we do have an invoice/2 as well, and invoice/3 as well. So basically what I want to say is basically this is the ID of an invoice and it is keep changing. So for that you cannot do something like this in React. You come over here and write invoice/1, and then you define invoice over here, and for 2, for 3, toward 100 or 1000, right? So if you want to make it dynamic, you can use the colon sign. So if I come over here and write colon, and after that whatever I will assign the name, so this ID, basically this 1 2 3 has become now dynamic. This is called a dynamic routing in React. So the question is, let me just import invoice from component/invoice, right? So we have defined the param inside the route. This is called a param of a route. So the question is, we have defined the param over here, but how can we receive it inside the invoice component? So that is very easy. We can use the use param hook of React Router DOM. So let's just come over here and import the use params, and now we can do something like this: params equal to use params, and let's just console.log params, right? So let's come over here inside the invoice/1. So as you can see, it is showing me the invoice component, right? And when we come over here, then you can see that it is assigning me the object, right? We are getting an object, and inside the object we are getting the property of ID, which we have defined inside our route as a param. So if I come over here inside the app.js and let me change the ID to invoice ID and let me save it, then you can see that it is returning me invoice ID and along with the value. So if we want, we can destructure our params like invoice ID, and if I come over here and I do something with this, invoice ID is invoice ID. So let's just wrap it up inside the fragment, because whenever we want to use the multiple elements, then we need to wrap it up inside the fragment or any parent div tag, right? So let me just refresh it. Then you can see that it is giving us invoice ID is 1. So let's come over here, and if I go and define something like this, then as you can see that it is returning me the ID which we have assigned inside a URL. So this is how you can perform you can play with the dynamic routing in your React application. So for example, if you want to make an API call using the ID you are receiving from your URL, then you can be able to perform it using by destructuring the parameter, the ID from the use params, and then you can call it inside the URL in the fetch or Axios method you will be using. Don't worry about it. When we will be learning about the API integration in React, then we will cover that part. In the next part, we want to learn that in case if a user hit any kind of route which does not exist inside in the routes with which we have defined our React application. So for that we need to show a 404 page. But the question is, how can we do that? Well, that is very simple. Let me show you. So let's create a 404 page first by name of error for or error.js just right, RAFCE, and this is 404 not found, right? So I will come over here inside the app.js. I will create a new route element, and inside this path I will assign a static. So basically this static, whenever if the user has tried to access any kind of route which does not exist inside your routes, then this route element will call, and it will navigate the user toward the whatever element you have assigned inside, whatever component you have assigned inside this element. So what I need to do, I need to write error, right? So let's just test it. So I need to say AST, then let me come over here and check. Oh yes, I am, because the React is considering this ASD as an invoice ID, right? So let me just come over here, AST, then you can see that it is routing us to 404 not found, which we have created a custom 404 component. Or if you want to navigate it toward the home page, for that you can use the navigate component of the React Router DOM. So for that you need to first import it from the React Router DOM, and inside this navigate you can pass the prop of 2, and then you can do something like this. So you can see that it has redirected me toward the home component. So let me come over here and hit it once again. Then it is still showing us home component, and when we try to check the URL, then it is giving us the URL of a home component. Alright, so you want to implement the nested routing inside your React application. Like if we do have a route like dashboard/tickets or dashboard/analytics, right? So how can we do that, or how can we implement these kind of routing inside a React application? Well, that is very easy. You need to define the parent route. Alright, so let's create a path /dashboard, and the element, it should render our dashboard component, and then inside these route as the children you can pass all the children routes over here. So let's create another route path equal to tickets, element equal to tickets, and let's do the same for analytics, right? So inside the main component of dashboard, obviously inside the main component of dashboard you want to render these component of tickets and analytics, right? So let's just come over here. We don't need to write any kind of condition over here. We just need to import the outlet component from the React Router DOM, and it will do everything for us. So outlet, so basically what this will do, if the route will be like dashboard/analytics, then inside this outlet will render your analytics component over here, and if it will be tickets, then it will render the tickets component over here. So let me just come over here and let's create our access a route dashboard/ticket. Well, it is tickets, and we were trying to access it with the name of tickets. Then you can see that we are getting tickets after dashboard. Let's try to access the analytics. Then you can see that we are getting the analytics below the dashboard. So this is how the nested routing work in your React application. So in the last part of this video, for example, you want to access any route using the any click event like on click, then how can you implement it inside your React application? Well, that is very easy. If I come over here inside the home component and let's just wrap it up inside h1 and let's create a button route to contact us page, right? And what this will do, it will take a function const route it to contact something like this, and we will assign this function inside on click route it to, let's just copy it and paste it over here. And now what we will do, well, we can use the use navigate hook of React Router DOM. So use navigate hook, from the first we need to import it, and now we will do something like this, const navigate. This navigate is a function, and inside this function as an argument we can pass our path, so /contact, right? So let me come over here inside the home component. When I will click the route to contact us page, then you can see that it has taken me to the contact us page. So this is how you can implement the routing. I have covered almost every aspect of the routing in the React project. So if you do have any question, please do ask in the comment section. I will try to answer all of them, right? So I will see you in the next one. Have a nice day.